Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Virche Evermore, continuing Eve's route. Cyan and Dahut were having a conversation, and Dahut was like, yeah, something about her parents, wait, never mind, and tried to leave. And Cyan was like, not so fast, you little twink, get back here. So, here we go. Now we're gonna, Dahut's gonna explain everything to Cyan. Look, the more Cyan I get to stare at, the better, okay? I love Eve. I love our Labradoodle doormat. Labrador mat? Labrador mat. Whatever. But you can't, you can't. This man. I don't know why I'm overly excited for this. Anyway. So you see, I hadn't meant to investigate her background or her parents at all. Both of her parents committed suicide in the Lycras field. I ordered Dahut to send me the data he had about the girl's parents. Name, gender, age, the version of themselves they revived through the reliver system, and pictures of them before they died. Are these the people he had the conversation with? Right there. It was immediately clear that she inherited her mother's blonde hair. Ah. I see. So that girl is... I never expected to be involved with that woman's abandoned child. When it was like the two people, you'll never understand love, I was like, was that her parents? And then the other person he's talking to, I was like, was that Eve's grandpa? Hi, we said that on the last part, right? Because it tracks. You know what I mean? It's not like this was Cyan having a random thought in his own route and then later, and then it flashes back and then you're like, oh, now we know who they are. It's like fairly obvious that that was where they were going to go. If they were going to go somewhere else, I'd have been shocked more than this, you know? In addition, the Guardian of the Lycras seemed to match that old prophecy. From which hospital did you obtain these medical records? The big one managed by the Society of Exorcists. That's even more fucked up. In that place, of all the hospitals to be involved, it's like they wanted to cause me trouble. I guess I should look into it. Cyan? Just out of curiosity, did you know her parent... Director! Deputy! It's an emergency! The royal family! The royal family of Arpachel! My subordinate interrupted our conversation. Hearing the words I hated most made me want to toss him out of the room. I don't like the sound of this. What about the royal family? Seeing that I wanted no part of the report, Dahut responded in my place. It's those strange deaths! It's about those strange deaths, sorry. The royal family of Arpachel announced that the culprits are partners living in Coen by the names of Spacey and Eve. What? Wish I could help out longer, but... See, our sacrifice is hard at work. I let out a heavy sigh at the typical turn of events. Now then, let's see how you'll overcome this situation, Karoon. If that old fairy tale is true and he really will bring me down, then he can make it out of this alive. Interesting. So it sounds like it was Eve's grandfather who had that conversation with Cyan and like... Or well, it was about Eve's family. But that is extremely intriguing that the keeper of the Lycras flowers, so like Eve or his ancestor or descendant or someone, is going to take Cyan down. Like, that's curious. Like, what are the odds? I mean, you get Lucas wanting to stab all reliver. First of all, we know it was, you have to kill the relivers because they're abominations and we need their, like, manufactured hearts to make your sister better. And that was, like, some kind of crazy thing. But it was, like, using his fear of losing Nadia against him to get what they wanted, the Society of Exorcists being like, oh, relivers are evil. So, think of every single fucking psycho-religious battle that's ever happened. Like, you just... any psychotic religious argument. I'm not talking about the good religious. I'm talking about the psychos. You know what I mean? Oh well, because and you're like, oh my god, do you not? You can't put two and two together here. What the fuck is wrong with you? That's the Society of Exorcists over here. Not that the reliever process is perfect, right? But they're using this whole their psycho spiel against science. So you've got these two factions, right? Great, swell. But and I don't quite remember in Lucas' route if he was like, yeah, I don't. Oh well, he didn't agree. I don't think with the whole reliever thing, even though he didn't. I don't think he would have hated it necessarily if it wasn't for his parents wanting to force it on Nadia and then everything. And then he was brainwashed. There was a lot of factors that kind of spiraled out of control, but you ended up with someone who was killing relivers, for their Jesus reasons, whatever, So, okay, that, you could see the path that brought him to where he was, stabbing relivers and being like, Cyan needs to be taken down because he's creating relivers and this is the source of all my problems, or whatever. Although, if you don't have any relivers to kill, how are you going to get Nadia back? That logic doesn't need to track because he was brainwashed into continuing to do it, but whatever. But I'm just really curious, because it's not like Eve ever started out with, oh no, relivers are bad. He's even saving money, I want to become a reliever, and then I want to have my scars, and then I can go about my life like normal, but I'm taking care of these flowers. But now there's this prophecy that, he or someone in his direct lineage, whatever, is going to take Cyan down, and that's kind of fucking interesting. Why? What's the story behind that? And obviously we don't know yet, but I'm curious. And why is everyone gonna go after my poor precious Cyan? Leave him alone. I mean, I kind of get it. He's a bit of a douche, but just leave him alone. Anyway. Then he can make it out of this alive. So I'm really curious about how that's all gonna play out, because that's interesting. Because even Eve doesn't know that. He doesn't know that part of the family lineage or prophecy or whatever. In Cheetahs, there were a few distinguished families that had supported Arpachel for ages. The Auric family that controlled agriculture, the Balin family of fine arts and design, the Claude family that oversaw knowledge, and the former Proust family of martial arts, which protected select members of the royal family. Last night, in the district where such families had influence over even the royal family, mysterious deaths finally occurred. Many of the successors of these old families, male and female, lost their lives without a backup in place. Furious, the survivors denounced the royal family for making false statements without conducting a thorough investigation. They warned that they'd no longer make any contributions to the royal family. When pressed for answers, the royal family made use of the existing scapegoat in the commoner district. Scapegoat, an innocent person or entity accused of wrongdoing, to deflect blame from its source, and for other reasons such as relieving dissatisfaction or expressing hatred. In other words, they blamed the Maiden of Death who was hiding in Coen with the young Eve who protected her. They claimed that it was their curse that caused this abominable chain of events. All known associates of the two culprits had been placed under house arrest. Aww. Although, for once, there's a part of me that's like, well, for once they didn't blame Cyan, because that would have been the easiest scapegoat. But, here's the thing, the royal family is a bag of fucking dicks. But they're not exactly stupid. Because, in Cyan's route, it was like, Cyan is problematic, and we need to knock this bitch off his peg. We need to knock him completely off his pedestal. Not just down a peg or two. All of them. All the pegs. Off all the pegs. Get him down. So when all these deaths and stuff, and they were like, Cyan did it. gets rid of all the people bitching at them, gets rid of Cyan. It's 2 birds, 1 stone, right? And in this case, they're like, someone was probably, we could blame Cyan and then we get rid of him. Yeah, but and no one's gonna believe that. So, like, they're all mad. They're the people that they're already mad at. Let's just be like, yeah, it was definitely them. And then they're not mad at us anymore. Cool. You know? Lazy motherfuckers. But not entirely stupid. So. Okay, well, there's somebody that works for the royal family that probably comes up with these ideas. That's not stupid anyway. The royal family themselves is probably a bag of dumbasses, but anyway. Yeah, they're all inbreeding. Considering the fact that no one's ever seen them, how do they breed? Oh, that's true. They're relivers. They don't need to. Just fair. Never mind. Someone was saying that. I heard you. I heard your thoughts before you said, okay. But, like, there's never any new royal blood in the family. That's kind of fucked up. Yeah, well, anyway. They would not be jailed, provided that they did not aid in the culprit's escape. Which meant that the periodic deliveries of food, along with the sharing of information, became impossible. Aww, I like how they're showing all of our friends just sad. It doesn't matter if you're leader of the Corps. You will be confined to your house. Show any signs of defiance and you'll find yourself charged with treason. Members of the Corps could only watch in confusion as their leader was taken away by the Royal Guard. Amongst the members was Hugo, who was able to avoid house arrest because he'd already put distance between himself and Eve. Just as Adolphe passed Hugo on the way out, he whispered, "I'm counting on you." Hugo could hear the absolute trust in Adolphe's voice. But now this... Hugo? Hugo? This is where it all comes together or falls apart. Either you come together for us and you help us and we're like, you really are a good boy, we love you, or you're like, no, let him suffer. And then it all falls apart and we realize what a horrible person you are and you break my heart. Don't do it, Hugo. I love you. Don't do it. Don't break my heart like this. You don't have to tell me that. I feel like... I mean, aside from this line, but it's like, Hugo loves Eve a lot, even if he hates me. I don't know if his hatred for me is going to overshadow his love for Eve, so... Hugo's gonna be like, man, I missed you so much. No, I only said I hated her and separated because then it looked plausible and then people would think I wasn't friends with you. But man, I've missed you. It's all part of my master plan. And then it's like, Hugo, you are the smartest fucking person here. I know Cyan's book smart, but when it comes to like plotting smart, we gotta watch out for you. We learned about the charges against us through an official statement by the royal family in the newspaper. Come out, you murderer! How dare you pretend nothing happened? Hey, keep it down, will you? What if the Royal Guard finds us? Ha! They've left these guys to fend for themselves. Why would they be guarding their allies? Why else would they be guarding their allies? Sorry. If only the royals would brand these bastards as criminals and execute them already. Not only would the weird death stops, but the country's curse might even disappear too. You know what's going to be fun? When... they execute us and everything stays the same. Also, I'm just noticing right now your shutters are crooked on your motherfucking window and it's gonna drive me bonkers. Because if you look at the one on the right, it's in shadow. But the edge where the little brackets are kind of go up to the edge because it's in the window is recessed. The panes of the window, the brown part around the actual glass panes, is inset, recessed into that white frame, right? So you can see the depth on the top and on the right side. The brackets on the right shutter are almost right up against the edge. On the left side, they're in the middle of the frame. The fuck do your shutters close when they're crooked? Jesus. Weird little details that just as I was reading that, I was thinking, I'm like, why are they crooked? Why is it not aligned properly? Oh my god. Now you're never gonna not see that. Every time this background pops up, you're gonna be like, oh, it's a fucking window and those freaking fucking shutters. I feel like whoever drew it, or like whatever, was like, oh yeah, right there, because that's the middle. It is the middle of the white section that you see, but there's a clear, distinct line, and that's recessed in. So that's not the middle of the window frame. You know what I'm saying? Oh my god, why are we anyway? Can drive me bonkers though, guys. Yeah, I see what you mean. He was keeping his guard up as Puffy and I were as still as possible inside the room. Hearing the conversation coming from outside, my hand crumpled the edge of the newspaper I was reading. Ever since the paper was published, people had been gathering outside of Karun to harass us. Never imagined Adolphe and everyone else would be placed under house arrest.
Well, I guess the silver lining is that no one was falsely accused and thrown in jail.
The royal family was accusing me and Eve of being responsible for the deaths. I was sure that everyone else would be freed eventually, as long as they cooperated. Even I glanced at the entrance to the storage room where we kept the food supplies. Our major issue right now was food. We were already banned from making purchases, and with Adolphe and the others unable to bring food to us, our only choice was to work with what we had until we found another solution. I wonder if the royal family seriously thinks that we're responsible for the deaths. The newspaper said that even Cyan agreed with their statement. I think they're lying. I think it's the truth. I think they're lying. Okay. The newspaper said Cyan agreed with their statement. That's a bold-faced motherfucking lie. Because if we hadn't had the little scene with Cyan, that we just finished, I would still think this was a lie because it's Cyan and he would never side with the royal family. He'd be like, nah, I'm not siding with those fuckers because he hates them. Okay? They're at odds. We know this. I would never believe he would side with them. Alright? Ever. Never. But we had that little scene with him right there where he's like, well, yeah, they're scapegoats. Anyway, he doesn't give a fuck, but he doesn't side with them. Okay? So we know that for a fact. Bullshit. Yeah, I think they're lying. Right. I don't believe the article. I think the royal family made this up on their own.
Yeah, I agree. I can't say I understand Cyan fully, but at the very least, Cyan isn't the type of person to brand someone a criminal without solid evidence.
That too, but it was more like he hates the royal family, so he wouldn't agree with them.
If anything, I think he'd be proud of his findings and announce them to the public.
So, no one's come to arrest us because the royal family just got ahead of themselves. If that was true, they probably were too afraid of Cyan to act on it. Which is kind of funny, because they're like, those guys did it and Cyan agrees with us, but they're not gonna actually arrest us because Cyan didn't agree. This is fucking hilarious. They probably were too afraid of Cyan to act on it. He is the genius scientist who created Reliver technology and keeps everyone alive here. Yes, we treat him like a god, because he kind of acts like one, and he kind of is one in a way. But the royal family is even bowing down to him. I understand that in their own best interest, they have to kiss his ass so that he keeps creating bodies for them, right? So, he technically has power over them. But I'm not sure why this situation would have them cowering in their boots, afraid of Cyan. Like, if we arrest them and Cyan doesn't actually agree, he might not create bodies for us, because why would Cyan give a fuck? You know what I mean? If it's something that has to do with Cyan, he's gonna give a fuck, and they know that. But why they think that, Cyan agrees with them, if Cyan doesn't agree with us and we arrest them and have them executed, then he might not create bodies for us anymore. It's like, why do you think he cares? Because he kind of doesn't. We're actually his friends, but he doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? But, I feel like, I mean, I guess it's just because in reality, Cyan is like, you know, I don't particularly like the way you did this, so I'm gonna go against you. Fuck you. No bodies for you. Let them go. You're dumbasses. Just to spite them because he'd be very antagonistic to the royal family. But in reality, Cyan really doesn't probably give a fuck. So, like, if they'd left his name out of it and they just left him out of it and they were like, yeah, these are the guys that are doing it, whatever, he probably wouldn't give a shit what they did to us. But they're so afraid of him that they're not even going to make a move to arrest criminals unless Cyan agrees to it. And he's over there like, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. They're like, we need to pass a new law. Do you think Cyan would agree with it? He doesn't care. I love the power that they ascribe to him, basically. Like, oh my god, no, he's mad, guys. Like, he doesn't give a shit about politics or criminals or any of that crap. It's funny, though, that they, like, because they're so intimidated by him and their lives are in his hands, that they're not going to do anything that might maybe bother him in the slightest. But we know him enough to know that he doesn't care. It's fucking funny. Oh, it's so hilarious.
I assume those in power did this to direct the people's frustration at us. A best case for them is that the masses just barge in and kill us. Or at least I figure that's their ideal scenario.
At any moment, a mob could break in without any supervision or restraint. And that's why, like, the dudes were like, but what if the Royal Guard? And they're like, the Royal Guard gives no fucks. They're like, the Royal Guard's walking by like, hey, having a picnic? Wink, wink, wink. Nice, see you later, guys. Like, just totally not looking at the people throwing rocks at our house because they're hoping. They're like, man, I would have thought they would have busted in. I know, these people are so stupid. They think we're going to arrest them. Don't they understand we don't care and we're hoping that they break in and murder these fucks? Jesus. Everyone here is so dumb. This whole country is ruled by stupid people. That's just very pertinent to real life, isn't it? And it's like, just everybody in it's a bag of dumbasses. That's also very pertinent. You know, this game's hits a little too close to home, right? We have a handful of people who aren't complete fucking morons, surrounded by a bunch of complete fucking morons. It's terrifying. They would willingly do the royals' bidding. It's horrible. Well, I mean, yes, it's horrible, but it's just the way humanity is. In any case, using the name of the savior of this country proved impactful. Most would believe anything that Cyan was quoted as saying, whether true or not, which is funny because Cyan doesn't actually talk to anyone and nobody even knows what he looks like. It's kind of like when he was walking around, they're like, hey, Cyan, he's like, don't fucking say my name out loud! I want these people to know what I look like! You've been around, you're the oldest living person here. How the fuck does no one know what you look like? Like, photographs obviously don't, I mean, special occasions, like Jean and his camera. But, like, so somebody would have a sketch, but there's no sketches of him in the newspaper? Ever? It's not like, oh, that one's from, like, when he was 20. Oh, never mind. Same age.
If romantic relationships really are triggers for the deaths, wow. We need to let everyone know before more people die.
Just as Eve was thinking about what could be done, he suddenly covered his mouth and began to cough. But you're only 18.
Of all times to catch a cold.
I don't know if it's cold. I bet it's because you let me have more of the blankets last night. Yeah, I don't know. I was surprised to see you shivering this morning.
I thought you'd be warm enough to keep me warm too, but...
I think he coughs like that. I gently rubbed Eve's back as he coughed. Eve, didn't seem well last night either. Why don't you go have a rest? Oh, is this Capucine's drink that he gave us? Because we had it, like, the other night, didn't we? Was it last night or the night before? I don't know. But, like, we drank it when we talked about shit, and it's doing something to us, right? But it could also be... because it's like, whatever he did to that, herbal remedy probably had the purpose of trying to delete whatever cells were in me, like whatever Onko did to us, right? But he doesn't give a fuck what happens to everybody else, you know? Like, oh yeah, if anybody else drinks it, they're probably gonna die, but who gives a fuck? He's only caring about what's gonna happen to my genes. So that could be what's happening to Eve. I was like, oh my god, the curse is setting in already! No, it's probably Capucine's drugs. Sure. Puffy trembled in its bowl as the walls shook from all the pounding. It's so dangerous during the daytime. We need to stay hidden from sight. So it's probably best to take action late at night when everyone's asleep.
You're right. Well, let's move to my room. The noise won't be as loud in there.
Poor Puffy. We have our little pet fish, but we can't take him with us, and we're gonna run out of food, and... Yikes. Eve reluctantly agreed with my suggestion. I like how he's got a closet that has, like, straps so his clothes don't fall out in case we're on a ship, but we're not, and there's literally nothing hanging in there, nor was there any place to hang anything. There's not even a bar. Like, you know what I mean? They could have actually drawn, like, something hanging in there, because you could be like, oh, yeah, because obviously he's got his regular daytime clothes, he's got his uniform, so he could have something, but there's nothing there. There's not even any place. It's just this giant open shelf. Why do I notice the stupidest shit today? So, I don't know. Anyway. He didn't like the idea of sleeping too much, so he got dressed to go outside just before climbing into bed. I mean, that's probably a good idea. Instead of sleeping in your nightgown, sleep in your clothes, because if you need to run anything, you're like, wait, guys, I gotta put on all my clothes. Perhaps the cold medicine he drank had some side effects, or maybe it was because he was so tired from everything that happened. Eve kept falling asleep and waking up intermittently until it was dark outside the window. I've been doing the same, sleeping and waking up repeatedly so that I could check how he was doing. I placed Puffy's bowl near Eve's bed, and it seemed like even Puffy was looking up at Eve's sleeping face with worry. Don't you worry, Puffy. Your owner's just asleep right now. I promise you I won't drag him into my mess again in the future. Puffy splashed water out of its bowl. I have to admit it, Puffy. You have so many emotions for a fish. Perhaps it took after its owner. Suddenly I heard sounds coming from outside. My shoulders jerked visibly. A cold sweat broke from my forehead. Sound. I hoped it was just the wind. Unfortunately, my hopes were dashed. I held my breath as Eve slept silently. I could hear everything outside, even the sound of insects. My heart was pumping so hard that I felt like it was going to explode. Peek out the window, exit from the back. I don't think we should exit. I think we should just peek out the window. I think exiting is, okay, wait. I feel like exiting is a bad thing to do. But maybe that's what we're supposed to do, because I sneak out the back, and then we find out it's Capucine and he kidnaps us because, he gave us his herbal remedy, he wants our genes, you know at some point this motherfucker's gonna kidnap us, right? It's gonna come into play some, and it can't just be in a bad ending, like, oh, and then he kidnaps us and torments us, and you're like, and that's just a bad ending and has nothing to do with the rest of the plot? You know? I mean, I guess, but I would say the safer one is peeking out the window. That would be my safe assumption. If it's exit out the back, then that's because they want Capucine to kidnap us, and that's what's going to happen. That would be my guess, anyway. So, one of these is getting us killed, bitches! Alright, then I'm still going to go with sneaking out the back. It's going to get us killed. And peeking out the window... Well, anyway. Nope, we exit from the back! Okay, we getting kidnapped. I knew going outside now was a bad idea, but if someone's outside now, that means they're up to no good. There were only a few legitimate reasons as to why someone would try to sneak into someone else's house. If this person decided to break the window and come inside, there'd be no good way of defending ourselves. I took a quick glance at Eve's sleeping face before gathering my courage to go outside. I feel like we're gonna get kidnapped by Capucine now. Oh. Hey, we better get the fire going before Death finds out! Calm down, I already poured the oil, so once it's set on fire, the place should burn to the ground. I discovered, okay, not what I thought. Two men trying to set fire to Eve's precious licorice noirs. That's gonna kill you, not us. I mean, they're gonna set fire to the flowers. That's gonna kill them. They know that, right? Anyway, okay, so then peeking out the window, we'd be like, I don't see anything, and then we'd burn to death. Okay, sure. No! I raised my voice and dashed toward the men. The man slowly moved the flaming torch up to the glistening black petals. Ah! I pushed the man hard from behind, giving me the opportunity to make my next move. I endured the heat as I stomped out the flames from the torch that fell to the ground. She found us! Ha! So now you're planning on cursing us yourself? You've got it all wrong. I just want you to leave Eve alone. He's just a victim. He's worked at Karun all this time so he can help everyone, and he stopped deserving our gratitude the moment he took you in, Death. 7 years ago, if he hadn't saved you, he wouldn't be in this mess. Or we wouldn't be in this mess. Yeah. Two yelled at the top of their lungs, and one of them turned toward me with an axe in hand. Well, that's gonna hurt. I could feel their malice clearly. They weren't just here to harass us. They were here with the serious intention of killing us. I mean, yeah, I would have guessed they were going to light the death flowers on fire. I don't know how they thought that wasn't going to kill them as well, but since, this was far different from the hatred they expressed before. Even though I'd always been despised, I didn't truly understand the range of human emotions until now. The man held his axe up and ran toward me. I couldn't escape. If I ran now, they'd only go after Eve, who was still sound asleep inside. I need to at least save Eve. Maybe he could escape if I made it seem like he wasn't inside. A heavy iron cut through the air. I closed my eyes, expecting my end to come. Suddenly, a shadow jumped out in front of me. I was like, come on, someone's... Yeah, alright. Before it landed, the blade was stopped by a drawn sword. Eve? Move back! Okay. I followed his command and quickly moved behind Eve's back. Eve struck the axe away and stood in front to protect me. I can read. Please leave. I don't want to fight you two. Shut up! We need to kill her or we're never going to get back our lives! The man with the axe and the other with a plow charged toward Eve at once. Under normal circumstances, Eve would be able to easily suppress the two men without harming them, but... See, he hadn't fully recovered yet. Eve winced in pain. The best he could do was keep parrying the incoming attacks. Losing his balance, Eve fell to his knee. A crushing blow was aimed for his head from high above. No! I'm right, no. I quickly grabbed the man's arm and used all the strength I had left in me to stop him. Just die! The man pulled back his axe. It sliced through the air toward the defenseless Death. As the shadow of the deadly blade fell upon my golden hair. Spacey! The blade missed. Eve jumped and covered me from the slash. The blade grazed his mask. I was, literally, right before this scene happened, I was like, I wonder when we're ever going to see Eve without his mask on. Are we going to, that's probably going to be at the end. It's been in the back of my mind, and this might be it. In that moment, the gentle moonlight began to peek through the night clouds. Oh my god. Oh, we're going to get a CG, probably. Don't look! Oh. Not as bad as he thinks it is. The moonlight's touch was gentle, yet cruel. It's kind of interesting because, what you think of a typical burn scar, this is black and red like the flowers. It is a very interesting pattern. I wouldn't say, I think it's a reason why people called you a monster. But you can almost have, okay, think of the way, an actual scar or a burn scar usually looks. You know what I mean? It's not red and black like this. So this almost has a weird metaphysical kind of oh, it's weird, occulty kind of impact. So, not saying people calling him a monster were right at all or justified, but I'm gonna take it that, like, it's not, the burn scars aren't like if somebody else got burned, they'd be like, oh god, ooh, that burn looks horrible. Ooh, wow. But his are so otherworldly and different. That's where people were like, instead of being like, oh god, your scars, it's, whoa, no, that's like, no, that's some freaky shit right there. You know what I mean? Like, it's like not normal even in this world. Still, though, doesn't mean you call a child a monster and Jesus Christ, it's totally fine, okay? Like, yes, it marred his poor, precious, beautiful face, but he's still lovely. Let's be real. Okay, he's not a monster. God. Do you really think we were going to run away? Of course not. Anyway. It shone upon Eve's bare face to drive away the shadow that had long hidden it. Ah! Eve cried out and tried his best to cover his face with his hand, but it was too late. He could see now, and you know what? Maybe that'll make the other fuckers run away. The words couldn't even begin to describe it.
Don't look! Don't look at me, Spacey! Please!
Unfortunately, I was already gazing at him. He thinks we're going to freak out and run, and we're just going to go and gently touch his face. Gazing at Eve's face in full, his scorched skin was the color of obsidian. Yes, see, and that I don't feel, I mean, like, yes, I just, again, I don't feel like that's normal. I mean, yes, your burned skin would be blackened, charred, but, like, hospital, I mean, I guess in this world, the hospital situation is questionable, but you know what I mean? That skin would eventually, like, be removed, you know, it wouldn't just stay there, so. The red lines running through it glowed and pulsated intermittently. See, that I feel like is not normal, and that's why people are like, ah, monster, because that's not the way a burn should act, you know? But it doesn't impact us. We're like, yeah, no, we're cool, it's fine. You know what I mean? I still don't think anyone should have screamed and called him a monster, but that was kind of my thought process in the back, like, maybe his burn doesn't look like a normal burn scar, but we won't know until we see it, and, you know. It was as though another life form was living inside him, moving, squirming. Okay, when you say that, it makes it gross. Stop it. I then heard trembling voices around me. Ah, you monster! The man's scream cut through Eve's heart. He's hideous! Now I know why death possessed you to act as her defender! Run for it! He can kill us just by cursing us through his eyes!
Hideous monster. Like they need to remind me. Been a while, but it still hurts.
Eve weakly looked down at the ground. This poor fucking thing! The man ran off screaming until we could hear them no more. I wasn't sure what to say in response to something so shocking, but Eve was in front of me with his head lowered, clearly suffering. I couldn't leave him like this. I carefully called out to him when... Aww. Eve threw his sword aside, covered his face with both hands, trying to run away, grab him. I couldn't let him be hurt and alone. My emotions guided me forward. Eve! I reached out to him and somehow managed to grasp his clothes before he could slip away. Good. Please don't go! Please don't isolate yourself! I pleaded for him to stop, but he was still shuddering with fear and wouldn't listen. Poor thing! The mask was his safety blankie. Oh, and then everybody screamed, and then he doesn't want us to see because he doesn't want us to hate him, but we don't hate him, we just want to love him and protect him. Poor thing.
No! Don't look! Don't look! Don't look! Let me go!
He struggled hard as he hit his face and tried to break free from my hold. No! If I let go of you, you'll never come back! I had no proof of it, but I felt certain that he would disappear forever. I couldn't let him. I had thought so many times of leaving before, but that was because I was the one who should leave. I don't want my dear Eve to end up all alone. As we struggled, I fell to the ground, bore the pain, and once again got up to cling to Eve when suddenly... You damn idiot! A shadow running toward us quickly threw a cloak over Eve's head. Suddenly, I felt the strength begin to leave Eve's body. His consciousness slowly faded, and his body slowly crumpled to the ground. Hugo? I smiled with relief when I saw Hugo catch Eve before he fell, but then... Don't you touch Eve, Death! Because of you that everything in Eve's life has turned to nothing! Hugo, I thought we were friends. Hugo shouted until his voice was hoarse, then turned his back on me. I mean, I can't really blame Hugo for being mad at us because, like, the burn is our fault, supposedly. But, like, people treating him like a monster is really not our fault at all. So it's kind of rude, but also, like, weird. And then Hugo was like, you're just gonna run away when you see it, and we're not running away, so you'd think he would stop being a little bit of a dick right now. Hugo, you're breaking my heart. I was shocked by the situation, but I was more shocked and disgusted to see myself instinctively reach out to touch Eve. Hugo quickly supported Eve back inside the house. I expected him to slam the door, but... Hurry up! Can't have you standing around outside and attracting attention! Sorry. I could tell he was doing the best he could to suppress his hatred for the sake of his partner. I picked up the torn mask and forced my weakened body to follow Hugo and Eve inside. Hugo gently laid the pale Eve out onto his bed. And the thing is, though, Hugo kind of saw, so Hugo knows we didn't run or freak out, so even though he's mad at us, you think that would have registered somewhere. Only Eve knew where he kept his spare mask, so there was nothing to cover the scars he desperately wanted to hide. With a pained expression, Hugo turned away from Eve, who was now sound asleep. He then glared at me sharply. I hadn't seen him in a while, but it was obvious he had no intention of being friendly right now. Hugo, about Eve... He must have been in shock too, seeing how horrible his scars are. Of course, I can't be too sure, considering you are the cause. He slammed his fist onto the table, and a loud thud echoed through the room. Guess I gotta hand it to Death to leave such a scar. Not like any old burn, is it? When I first saw it, I screamed so pathetically and fell on the ground. Lick it! Listen, just because you feel guilty about your reaction, don't take that out on me, bitch! We're so gonna have to fight over this man now. Me and Hugo fighting over Eve, like, Jesus, Hugo! Everyone who's seen under his mask has reacted the same way I did. Skin on his hand was peeling, but he wasn't fazed. Are you mad because I didn't react the way you did, you little chicken shit bitch? Hugo, I'm gonna win this fight, just FYI. I didn't want to. I didn't want to take your boyfriend away from you, but now you're being a little bitch about it? So, like, game on. Game on, motherfucker. I still love Hugo. I was angry all this time. I was pissed at how brazen you were, accepting his kindness as if he owed it to you, knowing he held no grudges. Each word slapped me into a stunned silence. Yeah, that's right. I hated you since we first met, and you still kept stealing Eve's happiness. I could hardly breathe. I don't know if it hurts me more that Hugo hates me, really, when he's always seemed so nice and sweet, or if it hurts me more that Jean was hiding a psychopath underneath. I don't really know. I'm very confused. I don't like either one. Game, why? Why are you making our side characters... Okay, Dahut is the only side character that came in a pair. Okay? That is not, like, a complete and utter sociopath. Okay? That has not broken my heart. Alright? Campesine we knew was going to be a psycho. Like, I knew that. We knew that right away. Like, you are not going to end up well. Okay. We kind of knew, and then... So you didn't really break my heart. I fully expected you to be crazy and evil, and, like, you surpassed my expectations, sir. Bravo. But, like, I didn't expect Jean to be a sociopath. Holy fucking shit. Break my heart. And then, like, now this, you're like, no, I mean, there was a part of me that was like, Hugo better not be the main antagonist here, because, you know, everybody's side character, every one of our love interest side pieces have been the antagonists or somehow just evil in their routes. You know? You got Jean. You got Capucine. And what he did to Nadia. Good God. Okay. Dalhut actually is the only one that kind of turned out like okay. Yeah, I mean, was he perfect? No. But like, I can't really blame him in that scenario, and like, you acted like a normal person, and I can't really blame Hugo for being angry because he cares about Eve, and him being angry about Eve's situation and everything that happened to him, and the fact that Eve's a bit of a doormat at his everything about him is like, just, it's easier to blame me than be like, Eve, you need to snap the fuck out of it and stop. You know what I mean? It's easier to blame someone else and put that blame back. When did this start? When he got those burn scars. How did he get them? Saving you, bitch! And if I was just a normal person that he saved, Hugo would be a little resentful, probably a little angry, but it's the fact that I'm the girl that everyone thinks brings misfortune, so that makes it more justifiable in his mind to hate me for this. You know? Also, I seriously do think he has a little bit of a hard-on for a boy here, okay? I don't think it's just a bromance. Alright, I think there's deeper feelings here. Whether the game's ever going to admit it or not, I think we're all safe to assume that there are some deeper feelings here. You know? So I can't blame Hugo for his feelings, you know, but like, you're not handling them well, and I'm going to need you to work through them and see some reason and stop being irrational. Jesus. Because you're breaking my heart, bro. Breaking my heart. I can hardly breathe, and neither can she. I could hardly breathe. I know, I feel the same. My throat felt dry and scratchy. I was a foolish sinner meeting her judgment. The force of his shouting was like a blade being held to my neck. Is this just for effect that they show him with his blade out, or did he actually do it? Hugo, just die already. Her words pierced the surface of my skin. Just dying now before you steal any more of his life. Eve's too kind for his own good. He won't give up on protecting you even if he dies. So before that happens, just die already. You don't mind dying for Eve, especially since you have feelings for him, right? And now he looks all psycho. Yeah, you mad that I love your boyfriend. He wanted me to die, but just so he could protect someone dear to him. I feel like, okay. I feel like if we accept, that's gonna be we die. Like, okay, and then he's just gonna do it. This is Hugo we're talking about. But refusing... I don't know, I feel... This is one of those catch-22 situations, because, like, accepting could lead to our death. Okay, you could be like, okay, cool. But at the same time, knowing her, the way she reacts to things, I feel like she would accept. She'd be like, no, you're right. Because I don't want to steal any more happiness from him. Because I hate that he's suffering. And she also believes all the rumors about herself. She's not like, no, I didn't do this. She's like, no, I actually did, and I keep ruining his life, and I don't want to ruin his life, and she keeps pleading to God to not ruin Eve's life. So if Hugo is standing right here going, you're ruining his life, just die already so he doesn't have to suffer anymore, she'd be like, you know what, you're right, yeah. So I feel like, honestly, like, she probably would accept. Although on the other hand, refuse is not, I'm worried that refuse would be like, what? No, I don't have feelings for him at all. I don't want to refuse that I have feelings. I want to admit I have feelings and that I don't want to hurt him anymore. But at the same time, refusing would also be like, no, I don't believe that I am the cause of all of this. I'm not going to take the blame for all this misfortune because I had nothing to do with it. I'm just a normal fucking person who is also being persecuted here, and it's not fair that I have to shoulder all this fucking blame. I don't want Eve to suffer either, but neither one of us had anything to do with this. You know what I mean? And killing me is not going to stop these fuckers, okay? We need to find the real answer. And I feel like then Eve would be like, brah fucking oh, girl. Right, stand up for your damn self. You know what I mean? So I could really see both of these leading to good outcomes in a way. You know, like, I kind of really want to, I want to refuse and be like, no, for all those reasons I just said. But I do feel like accepting is more along in her character, but then again, that's like the sad sack you've always been, and refusing would be more like growth, you know? But if we refuse, does then that Hugo gets pissed and kills us anyway? If we accept, Hugo's like, oh, wow, you really do love him, and then can't kill us? I don't know. I have no idea. It could go either way, guys. Let's see. Save file 4. All right. All right, guys. Oops, no, we were already here. Damn, we got a lot of bad endings in this one. All right, what do you think it is? I want to refuse. I like both of them. I like both options. I think they both have merit. But I think I lean a little bit more toward refuse. Like, no, I'm a normal person and I want to have a little bit of growth. I don't want to refuse that I have feelings. I want to be like, no, I love him and I will make him goddamn happy. And I will prove that neither one of us had anything to do with this so we can be happy together. Because I want her to have some character growth. Hell yeah! Character growth for the win! So then, and that should have also, a save file 4 there should have been accept and he'd kill us probably, so, yeah. Hugo's anger was well justified. If only I had left Eve sooner. If only I had died before meeting Eve. I knew I didn't deserve him. I kept letting myself be reassured by his kind words. I now confess all of your feelings for him to Hugo so that Eve hears you. It was all my fault. How could I be so foolish? My identity wasn't of any concern now. My existence had transformed into a weapon that could kill my precious Eve. My mind drifted to the knives in the kitchen. I wanted nothing more than to take one and stab myself through my shameless heart. But...
Same to you. Thanks for being alive, and I'm deeply grateful to the Lycruses for the miracle of reuniting me with you once again.
Or that. He saved my life. Knowing that, I couldn't throw away my life so easily. The only one who could tell me to die was... Eve, and Eve alone. I think it should be like, you or time. But, okay. I gritted my teeth and clenched my fist to prevent me from nodding in compliance. I didn't care if my hands became bloody. Seeing that I wasn't complying... If you were crying and apologizing, trying to make excuses, I would have just killed you myself. Huh? Okay, I'm good now. Hugo sheathed the sword, then looked up to the ceiling with a groan. Alm is right! Like, sir? Eve told me before that if I didn't like you, there was no need to put up a front. He said I could tell you myself. The reason he told me that was because he said the more I hate you, the more he can love you. Eve said that? Which is why I took that offer and told you everything. Figured Eve would console you no matter how much I insulted you. But everything you said was true, Hugo. Yeah, it was. I know what I said isn't wrong at all. And that said, I lost to you. Oh. Girls conceding is lost to us. Lost? I hate to admit it, but when you saw Eve's scar, even though you were surprised, you didn't run from him. Instead, you reached out to stop Eve from hiding his face and running away. It was then I realized I lost to you. He's gonna be like, because you didn't react like I did. And it's like, yeah, no, it's because I love him more than you. It's okay, sweetie. Eve's also not gay, so, like, Hugo, probably never gonna work out. But I wanna... God damn if I don't feel a little guilty. What did I just say before? Bitch, after all this, I don't feel guilty for taking your man. And now I do again. Because you restored my faith in you, Hugo. You really did. You had me bamboozled for a minute. I felt sad. I feel okay now. I still love you, bro. And I actually feel guilty for stealing your boyfriend a little bit. That makes me sad. But, listen. This is the way the game played out. Guess I gotta hand it to death to leave such a scar. Not like any old burn, is it? When I first saw it, I screamed so pathetically and fell on the ground. Yeah, well, you know, my handiwork. I like to admire it. Art. She would never say something like that. Jesus. I'm still scared of how his scars keep pulsating like that. The reason why I covered him earlier wasn't because I wanted to hide his face, because I didn't want to touch the scars. Felt like I'd be cursed if I did, so I threw my cloak over him without thinking. Oh. But like, Hugo, even though you're terrified of his scars and they freak you out, you're still his friend and you don't run away. And like, it's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make you, it still makes you a better person than everybody else. Like, you can't really help your reaction when you first saw them because they're not normal. But you're like, ah! Sorry, I'll get myself together. And like, yes, that was probably hurtful to Eve. But, you know, you've made up for it. You know? Hugo let out a heavy sigh. I guess what he needed wasn't someone who could understand him, but someone who could empathize with him. I heard he actually said that the Lycris Noirs he's been taking care of are pretty or something. Yes, I've been visiting that field of Lycris ever since I was little. I know this sounds strange, but the flowers feel like they're a part of my family. See, keep telling him to forget his mission and leave those flowers alone. Thought I was helping him, but I guess all I was doing was crushing his real self, try and make him into a normal person. Pushing my ego onto him by wanting him to live like me. Hugo. But my values are totally normal. You two are the strange one, loving those cursed flowers and not being afraid of his scars. So, maybe you two make the perfect weird match. Oh, Hugo's like, you know, I know. Sweetie, Eve's just not the man for you. It's alright. And with that, Hugo headed to the entrance. His gait was noticeably lighter than before. But okay, he may not love us, but it's okay. We're friends, right? We're frenemies? That works. I could no longer sense any ill will from him. You had me for a moment, Hugo. You really did. I was really, really sad. It hurt my heart. My heart hurts now because it's letting go of the tension it had in me, being like, no, Hugo. I just wanted you to be our friend at least. And now it's like, you know, it's like when you've had to pee for a really long time and you hold it for so fucking long that when you finally go to pee, your bladder just hurts and you're like, God, it cramps so bad because your bladder has like forgotten how to like let go and release your pee because you're like, I've been holding it for so long. That's the only state your bladder knows is tensed and locked up. You know what I mean? You've been on one of those car trips, you know, where it hurts so bad and then like you're like, I really need to pee, bladder, let go. And then you can finally release your pee, but it hurts. You're like, oh, my bladder is so cramped, and it just takes a few minutes. That's the way my heart feels right now. My heart is like a cramped bladder that's been holding its pee for too long. Hey, you never thought you'd hear that fucking analogy. Have I made that one before? I feel like I probably have at this point, but Jesus. Oh, God. When Eve wakes up, be honest and let him know that I was bad-mouthing you. He turned around and gave his usual smile. That way, Eve will shower you with his love to make up for the pain I caused you. Hugo! I called out to him before he could leave. I won't tell him anything. If there's something I want to argue about, I'll say it to you, not him. Oh, but I'm not used to arguing or fighting, so maybe some other day. Can I complain to you about how scary you were? Hugo blinked a few times at the words that even I knew didn't make much sense. I want to complain to you about how terrifying you were. No, Hugo, seriously, my heart is cramped. His shoulders shook a bit and he smiled. The hell are you saying? First time I've had someone ask me for a fight. Well, I guess that's what drew him to you. Ugh. His smile strangely made him look like he was crying. He probably is a little, because he has to let his love go. Aww. Listen, I think somewhere deep inside Hugo knew it was never going to work between him and Eve. But It doesn't mean he didn't hold out a little bit of hope, but now Eve's moved on and fallen in love with me, and I'm in love with him, and he's like, now I just have to admit it's never going to happen. And that's the sucky part, you know? It's like your celebrity crush, right? You're like, that's my celebrity crush, and they might start dating someone, and you're like, but there's still hope, you know what I mean? Because, like, whatever. And then they get married, and you're like, and there goes all my chances of happiness. Fine, whatever. And then you just have to realize that you knew the whole time it was never going to happen. Like, that's why they're a celebrity crush. You're like, that's never going to happen. I'm never going to meet them. But, you know, you still hold on a little bit of hope. You know, it just gives you something to hang on to. You know? So it was just Hugo. He was like, you know, while Eve's single, there might, maybe. I know it's never going to happen, but, like, there's that 1% in you that's like, that little tiny sliver of next to nothing, good enough for me, you know? Sometimes the heart just needs a tiny little thread, okay? And now we cut that thread, so Hugo's got to go cry for a while. Hugo then grabbed his chest and left Karun. His chest, like his heart, and left Karun. Oh. I don't think he brought a chest or a trunk with him. I think they mean he grabs his chest like his heart and he left Karun. And I'm sorry. Try to fucking tell me that him hating me and okay, you could seriously, you could argue that it's a bromance. He just really cares about Eve. Eve's his friend and is a little naive and, well, okay. You know, he tries to love everyone, so he's a little derpy. So, like, of course, Hugo's got to walk the labradoodle once in a while. You know what I mean? You could sure try to go down that, but you cannot tell me with the his smile almost made him look like he's crying, and then he grabs his chest and leaves. That he is not dying inside because he just had to let go of his last tiny little thread of hope that he and Eve could be together. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That is so much more fucking romantic than anything that else that has happened between Eve and I. I'm not even sure any other romance that has happened in this game has been this intense. Why am I the main character? I need to step back and let Eve and Hugo be happy. At least, okay. At least in every other route when we're falling in love with someone else, we can just imagine that maybe they're getting a little closer in the background. Aw, how adorable. I love it so much. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.